Hello everyone. I thought I'd do a quick video on what I eat and why I eat it and when I eat it. As you know, I've been doing a ketogenic diet probably off and on for about 3 years plus now. I have found recently, because I'm getting my insulin and leptin levels a lot more even, my blood glucose is really even in the mornings, everything's good. I've been experimenting around with a little bit more on the carb side, but still kind of retaining it under about 30 grams a day on average. So what I'll do typically now is I'll start my morning by having a slab of salmon, like some smoked salmon. That's for DHA content, but that's also because it's high in protein, high in fat. Then I'll usually do a wedge of cheese, typically high in protein as well, high in fat. Or I might actually just do a few eggs, do the egg white, make the egg yolk kind of very lightly heated or runny. And so I'll pick from kind of a mixture of, high protein, high fat stuff, and I'll try to take my protein actually higher in the morning, because I've experienced in the mornings I don't ever have any like hunger. Also, I've read that it helps reset and rebalance your leptin levels by eating more protein in the morning as well. And I really have experienced that. When I have like typically 40-50 grams of protein, sometimes even taking up to 60 grams, an hour later I don't get lethargic, I don't feel hungry, I don't get that lull, nothing happens on that regard. Although, if I were to flip that and I would eat a lot of protein at night, I would still get it a little bit. So I do avoid the protein at night. So I'm finding in the mornings I'll go all protein and fat, and this works really well for me. I actually won't do much in the way of veggies at all in the morning. Also, for drinking, typically what I like to do is I like to do an iced coffee, but it's more of like a bulletproof coffee, so I'll get really high quality beans, a caffeinated coffee, and just put maybe about a third of a cup of coffee in there, and then fill an entire cup full of ice, and then I'll blend in some butter, like Kerrygold butter, into the coffee, and then pour the coffee over the ice. So I'm really, really diluting the coffee in the ice, but I like that snap in the morning. Or if I don't do that, I'll actually just do some iced, slight little teeny bit of cranberry mixed into it. I mean, just enough to give it almost like a flavor, like you would do like a sparkly water that has like a flavor to it. So it's hardly any sugar whatsoever, and cranberry itself is probably one of the lowest fruit juices and sugars. So I'll just do a teeny bit of cranberry, or I'll just do straight ice water if I don't want any flavor and I just want to just get out the door fast. So I usually start my morning with a big water, a big glass of water, a big glass of coffee water, with a big high protein, high fat meal, very low carb again, or no, actually no carb at all, unless I do a teeny bit of the cranberry juice. But I think that's like pretty much nothing. Maybe like 1 gram of sugar at the most. So moving on to lunch. At lunchtime, again, what I like to do is I like to add a lot of onion. Push some vegetables into the lunch. So I might take like a canned tuna or canned salmon again, or something along those lines, or some chicken, or a little bit of beef. Something very moderate protein but high fat, and then throw in some veggies like a salad, or actually mix some onion into that, or maybe a little bit of garlic, something where it's easier to just generate your lunch really quick. So at work I'll do that. I'll like take like a bag of like greens, like spinach and maybe a little bit of kale or mixed collard greens, something like that. Throw some little bit of dressing of some kind on it, a very high fat, no carb dressing, and then maybe a little cheese crumbles, like feta cheese is good on that, with some onion. That's a very typical lunch for me. And then some sort of meat protein source, some kind. So lunch is pretty much good to go there. And here's where I'm starting to experiment with a little more carb. After lunch, about 15 minutes after, I'll actually eat maybe even up to a half a bar of 85% chocolate. Now I'm going with certain kinds of chocolate because in the past I've had my back, lower back, I could tell my adrenals were being stressed. Eating certain kinds of chocolates, more lower quality chocolates. I found certain kinds of very high quality chocolates that are 85% or higher on the cacao. Won't give me any problems. I actually don't feel any caffeine rush, but because I'm only just eating a little bit, maybe like I said, a half a bar, which kind of like translates into 3 or 4 wedges of chocolate. Some days I'll go less if I'm not feeling like a lot, just enough to just get a little bit of that sweet snap after like a more of a, again, like a moderate protein fatty meal. It's just a nice end to the meal, and I'm not finding any glucose spikes in my blood doing this. Now, it might turn out to be an extra like 5 grams of sugar again. So with having a really stable, good meal, even with the onion in it, because the onion has a little bit of sugar, I'm not seeing any problems. Now that I'm, like I said, I'm a little more leptin balanced, as well as my insulin is getting rebalanced as well. And I think a lot of it has to do with these up here, the blue blockers. I'm doing this every night. Right now it's about 9:30 at night again. I always have these on, and it really, that at night and then in the morning, waking up and exposing my skin to the sun, and just getting outside and getting the light into my eye first thing in the morning, setting the circadian rhythm, and at night not messing up my circadian rhythm, I think goes a really long way, ripple effect, to solving all the other insulin and leptin issues in the body. So I'm getting away with a better food diet, and I'm not seeing any blood. I'm getting really great blood glucose levels, and my ketone levels are just stable and fine as well. So in my measurements, I'm finding everything's being repaired, where a year ago, without doing this, and still eating the same way, I would have a lot of problems. So for dinners, I'll do kind of more of a veggie, like more of a warm veggie dinner of some kind. So typically it will be like some little bit of bell pepper, celery, broccoli, garlic, onion, and kind of like simmer it for maybe 10 or 15 minutes in a pan with some sort of meat source again. A little bit of butter or whatever, but I will pull down the protein to the point of like under 20 grams, something like that. So with that, it works out really well, and I find that I'm not hungry at all at night. I feel very satisfied. I usually do my workouts now in the evenings, about an hour after dinner. Just do some anaerobics and resistance exercises, maybe 3 or 4 times a week, and I'm just feeling great. So progress is going good. Just wanted to share that all with you, kind of how I eat, why I eat, different times of the day, and what I'm eating. So it's like higher protein morning, moderate protein lunch, low protein evening, and overall throughout the day, maybe 25, 30 grams of sugars, carbs in the day. All right, have a good one.